Elijah Muhammad said the greatest trick of the white man will pull on the black man will trade his woman for yours. Let's get into it. This is Richard Ralph Brooks. He's a Stanford professor, or he was. In 2011, he wrote a book called Marriage is for White People. In his book, he detailed how black women were more educated than black men and how black women were less married than their counterparts. And he suggested, even though he was married to a black woman, that if black women wanted to be married and wanted to be successful, they should leave the black man. Now, the question is, where's these books for Hispanic women? Where's these books for white women? Where's these books for Asians and other women telling them that if they want to get ahead, they need to leave their man? There's no other race that got a book saying, hey, if you want to get ahead, you have to leave your race. There's nobody, especially one written by one of their own. So if you think 2011 this book comes out, people don't know there's the attack on Latinos is because in 2040, Latinos are expected to be the majority of America. For the first time in the history of America in 2040, white people will be the, what they say, majority minority. There will be more Latinos in the country than white people. That's why they are trying to get Latinos to register as white, because that makes white people's numbers look significantly higher than what they really are. And that's why you'll see on the form it'll say white, some will say check here if you white, and then it'll give the Hispanics an opportunity to put what type of Hispanic they are. Or some will say white non-Hispanic. Some will say white Hispanic. When these are two distinguished races, these are two different races. There's the pure ones who are actually Hispanic, and then there's the ones who are actually white. But they don't get the opportunity to say that they're Hispanic. They just get white, they get labeled as white people. And if we look at abortion, white people have the lowest birth rate of any race. One comes in, one goes out. They aborted 200,000 babies. So when you put a national ban on abortion, you are trying to preserve your race. This is why you have abortion. If it was about black people, if it was about Hispanics, there wouldn't be a ban on abortion. The mere fact that people think, oh, abortion is about protecting women, protecting babies. No, it's about protecting and preserving a way of life. That's why they banned abortion. This is just part one. Part two. Now, I have to give you the history of what I'm saying to get to the point I'm making. So you might not get that point until part four, but let me get to part two. Now, you have to understand when all of this started to take place. 1968, they came out with the Moynihan Report. In the Moynihan Report, it said if you wanted to strengthen the black family, you must strengthen the black male. By strengthening the black male, you will strengthen the black family, which is the key to the black community. In 1972, Henry Kissinger went to Richard Nixon and said, hey, to destabilize the black community, you must introduce homosexuality. Even though there was homosexuals among black people, they was not as freely recognized as they are today. So you have a report in 1964 talking about strengthening the black male, so he was strengthening the black family. But in 1972, you have an alleged plan to weaken the black man by introducing homosexuality into the black community. You also had the end of the Black Power movement, which was destroyed by black exploitation films, which told black men, if you want to have some type of power, become a pimp or a drug dealer, and you could stick it to the man, like Superfly, like Willie Dynamite, like many of Hell Comes to Carlin, Foxy Brown. Many of these black exploitation films showed young black men that, hey, marching in the street, organizing wasn't the way to stick it to the man. Get out there, pimp, and sell drugs. But at the same time, they was telling black men to be pimps and drug dealers. They was telling black women to further their education. They was promoting black women who were part of the Black Power movement, the civil rights movement, to go back to school and get education. So as you see, this is going to drive a big wedge in between the black man and the black female. Now, as we move a little bit longer, we move a little bit up. You go to 1980, a significant event happened in 1980. In 1980, the Mecca for religion in the South, Atlanta, 28 black children were found dead. It was actually 30 in the event labeled the Atlanta child murders. They blamed William Wayne, but it's no coincidence that these 28 children came up missing and unfortunately was unalive in the place which we call the Mecca for black homosexuality, Atlanta, Georgia. Now you connect that back to what Henry Kissinger said. It is alleged that the CDC kidnapped these 28 young black men and women and experimented on them to how to turn the most religious spot in America for black people gay. It's no coincidence. Stay tuned for part 3 as I get deeper into this. Now, part 3. You're still getting the Kevin Samuels. Stick with me. Part 3. So now you have black men leaving the civil rights Black Power movement, selling drugs and trying to be pimps. Black women are going to school. A lot of black men are going to say black women chose welfare over them. This is a complete lie. Welfare, the no man in the house rule was struck down in 1969 when King versus the state of Alabama. So after 1969, black women could have men in the house and still receive welfare. But the no man in the house rule was not made for the fathers. It was made for their boyfriends, because a lot of fathers left the South seeking jobs in the North, and they said they was going to come back and get their families, and they never did. So these women was forced to survive by getting on welfare. And when getting on welfare, they found other company, and this is when Alabama was like, and other states was like, you got a man in the house, even though that man wasn't their man. So we're going to fast forward to the 1980s when Reagan and Oliver North and the CIA allegedly introduced crack cocaine to the black community, where they would give sentences longer. No, I'm ahead of myself. So introduced crack cocaine into the black community, and this is when the gangs exploded and the violence in the black community exploded, even though there was a heroin epidemic being pushed by the Italian mafia in the black community. But what significantly happened in 1992, as the black community cried out for help because the crack epidemic got so bad and the crime in the black community was going out of control, Joe Biden and at the time President Bill Clinton introduced the crime bill. This crime bill was like a rape victim asking for help, and then the police raped her again. So the black community was crying out for help, and they got raped all over. Because this bill did not care about the addicts, everyone was seen as the same. The drug dealers and the addicts. The addicts needed help, but the drug dealers, but they didn't get help. Their only help was behind prison bars, which again went against the Moynihan report, which said to strengthen the black family was to strengthen the black man. Again, they went against their own intelligence and took the black man out of the household and incarcerated him for many years. So now you have a bunch of women who are left to raise the children, creating animosity between black men and black women. Stay tuned for Black Part 4. To understand the psychological warfare, you have to understand this point. Now, before the Jeffersons, all we seen was black men with white women. But after the Jeffersons was the first time we seen a white man and a black woman. Remember, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the greatest trick of the devil would be to exchange his woman for yours. Why would he exchange his woman for yours? His woman is not fertile. And for his seed to see the hereafter, he has to implant his seed into your woman. So, the only way to further dismantle the black race is to cause conflict between the black man and the black woman, which you have planted the seed. In 1970, you promoted black men to be pimps and drug dealers while you told the woman to go to get an education. So now you have a bunch of educated women with a bunch of men who have been spending plenty of time in prison. So eventually, because once you become educated, you outgrow. So black women have outgrew most black men. You might not like it, but black women are more educated than black men. Black women have more opportunities than black men. Black women have the ability to make more money than black men. And the times have changed. We're no longer in the 50s, the 60s, where women can't work, where you can come home with a baby and say, hey, you got to take care of this baby because how are you going to get taken care of? Those days are gone for all men. Women are now a vital part of the workforce where they can make their own living. So these women are now saying, I don't need a man. I can do bad all by myself. Only thing going around is the bills. You got to have a job if you want to be with me. So what are these women doing? What is the psychological warfare doing? They're showing these women commercials. She looks in the room. She sees Pookie and Ray Ray playing video games. Pookie and Ray Ray don't have no money to get a passport. Pookie and Ray Ray have no money to go outside the country. But here's a black woman on the beach with a white man. Here's a black woman in a big house with a white man. Here's a black woman in a nice car with a white man. So she thinks when she goes to school, she only sees white men. So her counterpart becomes white men. I know a woman, a black woman, who had a PhD. Not a PhD. She had a master's degree in therapy. And I said, she was looking to date. And I said, why don't you date your co-workers? And she said all her co-workers was white. She had very little respect for black men, but she had a lot of respect for white men. She didn't realize it. Most women don't realize it. Black women don't realize it. They have a lot of hostility toward black men. Maybe because of their fathers, other males in their family, are just black men they have been around. So this psychological warfare, it helped divide the black man and the black woman even further, because the psychological warfare told the black woman that if she wanted to get ahead, she had to leave the black man. And the psychological warfare pointed out all the disparities between her and the black man. And the black man's response was not to do better as a man, but to talk about her weave. And this gave rise to Part the next board. Okay, first of all, we got to understand this. The first person to get on social media and start downing the black woman was Tommy Sotomayor. But Tommy Sotomayor, even though there was a lot of people who agreed with what he said, his style was a little bit too raw. He gained traction, but people was like, ugh. He got on social media and he called black women bitches and names and roaches and all types of other things. So, you gotta understand this. To get famous in social media, you need a little help. I know there's a lot of people who saying, oh yeah, I'm famous because on social media, because no, you didn't. The algorithm has to fuck with you. And these companies push who they want to push. So if your content can be as good as hell, be very informative, but if it's the wrong content, it's not getting pushed. So people don't realize Kevin Samuels started out criticizing men. He started out criticizing men, but he didn't get no traction by criticizing men. Kevin Samuels got traction when he started criticizing women. So he started getting traction, he started getting a little bit of views, and then he started getting pushed. And he became like the gospel for black men. Well, if he really wanted to help black women or even strengthen black families, why didn't he take the approach of the Nation of Islam? The Nation of Islam has been more successful, no matter what you say about them. They have been more successful into training black women to be women and training black men to be men, and they have not did it in a degrading way. So why wouldn't Kevin Samuels, if he was more interested in reforming black women, take the approach of the Nation of Islam? Take the approach of people who are who reformed black men and women. Why would he take such an approach to attack black women? And his whole goal, if y'all say it, was to unify the black community, backfired. Because what he did was he created a greater wedge between black men and black women. And you have a bunch of disciples of Kevin Samuels. Either they're women who are Kevin Samuels in women form, or they are men who try to imitate Kevin Samuels. And you have a whole gender war when, like I said, men and women are not based upon their race. It's based upon the content of their character. So while you got people screaming about black men and black women don't do this and don't do that, the other races are doing the same thing. But it's more popular to get on social media and listen to black people down each other. Where's the white Kevin Samuels? Where's the white Tasha K? Where's the Asian and Hispanic Kevin Samuels? Where's the Asian and Hispanic Tasha K? Why don't we see other races putting down each other more than we see black people? And why, when someone comes up here and speaks about unity among black women and black men, they're not pushed? Because remember, Kevin Samuels, and I'm gonna say allegedly, he was gay. He was bisexual, but he was gay. You can tell by his mannerism and how he acts. He was an undercover closet gay. And the black community has had more problems since the LGBTQ community has become prominent in it. The Black Lives Matter movement, which stole $90 million from black people to support LGBT causes, but used the death of black men to get that money. So Kevin Samuels sowed a seed in the black community, and now we are seeing the destruction of the black community because we have gender wars. There's no one talking about, hey, unity between black women and black men. The same problems black men have with black women, the other races are having with their women. The same problems black women are having with black men, the other races are having with their men. So why is it more prominent in the black community? A man is a man and a woman is a woman. Don't think just because you go to a white or a Hispanic or Asian woman that things are going to be perfect. Just because you go overseas and you get a woman or you get a man, you get a woman, I would say, because if a woman goes overseas and get a man, that man has been taught and trained to be more dominant than American men. You go overseas, you get this woman from a poor country, you bring her back here. Once she gets accustomed to the lifestyle, she's going to turn into an American woman.